Okay, so we're here tonight on June 6th to go over some policies and other information as we need to add to the agenda. But before we get started with that, how about if we start off with the pledge salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So you've been sent and you have a hard copies in front of you with the agenda that I have tonight. I don't know if there's any adjustments that you want to make to that. We have 4 policies before you and 2 ARs. And just as a reminder, the ARs are the responsibility of the superintendent. But since policy and ARs usually go hand in glove, I thought in case you were curious and you wanted to see what I'd come up with and developed from the OSBA ARs. And you can see what I plan on moving forward for the upcoming board meeting for you to review as well. So they're included in your packet. So maybe a little bit of overkill, but just want you to have that at your fingertips. So as you're taking a look at the policies and AR updates, just as a reminder that if you see anything in grade language from OSBA, and you can see it at the top where it says model or sample policy, that's new legal language that's added. And then some of these policies, you're not going to see any grade language or strike through language because these aren't changes that are coming from the legislature. And in fact, in this particular case, the first policy that I have listed is policy GBEA, which is workplace harassment, and then corresponding AR that goes with it. And as we're preparing for the upcoming school year, I've talked to one of our attorneys and asked them to take a look at policy reviews and some policies that we need to have in place for the upcoming school year. So that's why you're seeing these particular ARs or policies tonight, is that based off our attorney's recommendation that we have these in place for the start of the new school year. So, for the first policy GBEA, this is workplace harassment, which is prohibited and shall not be tolerated. This includes harassment that occurs between district employees or between district employees and the district in the workplace, or work-related event that may happen off the district premise and coordinates through the district or between a district and a district employee, whether they're on or off district premise. So in this particular policy that you see before you, like I shared with you, usually when we get an update from OSBA, you're going to see struck out language or grade language. But on this particular policy here, because there isn't any current legislative updates, you're just seeing the final draft or the final version that came from OSBA.
Do we not have a policy like this already? So do we not have a policy like this already on our books? I see there's no adopted date on this, and that seems odd to me that we don't have a policy for this already.
That was one of the ones that jumped out at our attorney. So if you see on our content page there, you see the word new listed. That means we do not have that policy or
So we just don't have anything about harassment.
Workplace harassment. There's specific, we've talked about JFCF as an example, or GB or GBA, GBN. Those are all harassment policies as well. But this is more specific in regards to workplace harassment.
Okay. There you go. I don't have any concerns.
Okay. Moving on to the next policy that I have is policy GCBD, which is personal illness and injury. And here, this is an existing policy. So you can see in our packet where you have an existing policy from 2006, and our attorney is recommending that we update. And you can take a look side by side at the sample policy versus the existing policy. There's a few changes there, as you can see, just in the length, and just adds a little more depth and a little more explicit as far as the expectations go and our processes.
So were these changes?
Get your mic on. Sorry.
Were these changes, you probably just said this, they weren't based on legislation, they were based on recommendations from OSBA and their attorneys?
Well, actually, in this case, we have also attorneys that work through WESD, and I was speaking to one of those attorneys as we're taking a look at having her going through the policies and working with me on various concerns that come up, that she says you're going to need to have this in place. We do have paid leave Oregon coming up here starting in September. So she says, yeah, you're going to need to beef up this particular policy to help support that, as it's going to be newly implemented. But again, this is a policy that we had on 2006, and it looks like we've missed a couple of cycles because you're not seeing any struck out language or grade language or anything like that. So I imagine this policy is approximately a year or two old, this newest policy that brings.
I guess I'm just curious. So the personal illness and injury leave, how does that differ from the sick leave, which we'll review in a little bit? Because on the sick leave, what is it, 40 hours a year with a max of
versus days. If you take a look at it, yeah. And that's the distinct difference between the two. And she says you got to get to the point for the sick leave, which is GC BDD sick time. She said, yeah, you're going to need to have that in place. And that's something that's new for us.
Am I reading this right? That 12-month employees accrue more time off than full-time employees? Am I reading that correctly?
No, I don't think so. 12-month employees will accrue 1 day per month or 12 days a year. All other employees who work less than 12 months will receive 1 per month. So
right, but the first sentence is sick leave entitlement for personal injury will accrue at a rate of 10 days each year. Is that different than the 12-month?
Yeah.
How is it different?
I'd have to go back and ask, but yeah, that's how that reads to me. It is different.
Yeah, so why do our 12-month people get more time off than our full-time people?
well, wait a minute.
The first paragraph, sick leave entitlement for
Personal illness
personal
or
illness
energy.
accrue at a rate of 10 days each year, right?
As provided by Oregon revised statutes.
Yeah,
Correct.
12-month employees will accrue 1 day per month or 12 days per year. So the regular employees are getting 10 days per year, and the 12-month employees are getting 12 days per year.
Right.
Why? Why would that be the case?
I can ask.
But I guess I'm confused. So if you work a full year, so what's your question? So you don't think somebody who works a full year should have?
A 12-month employee, that's someone who's going
That's
to be
full
here
year.
for 12 months,
Mhm.
right? But not someone who's hired for long-term. Is that correct? Is
No,
that
no,
what a
no.
12-month
I think
employee
that they
means?
work 12 months, the full year, as opposed to like teachers who aren't working full 12 months.
Okay, so how many days of sick leave does a full-time teacher accrue?
Well, this tells me that it's one day per month.
Then what's the 10 days each year?
Yeah, I don't know what the Oregon.
I'm
revised
wondering if
statute-
that's the minimum that it would be.
Yeah,
So that when you're first coming on, that you would be guaranteed that minimum amount, but I'm not willing to say that with absolute certainty.
So
So
what is a 12-month employee?
me,
What does that mean? What's the definition of a 12-month employee?
just that I'm working for 12 months. My actual contract is a 260-day employee.
Okay, so that's what we refer to fully employed.
Well, you can be fully employed and
District
not,
staff is 12-month employee.
yeah, but again, as an example, a licensed employee that traditionally works about 10 months out of the year is still considered a full-time employee as well.
Okay. I just don't understand how you can have two different rates of accrual in the
Right.
same paragraph. You have 10 days per year and 12 days per year, which is it?
Right. Well, what I'm thinking is, again, that this is probably a minimum of 10 days. And then those of us that get to work a few extra months get to pick up those days that they're working. But again, I'm not willing to say with absolute certainty that that's how that is. So I'll need to go back and ask. So we can go ahead and table this policy then.
Sure.
Maybe they can rewrite it so it's a little clearer.
Oh, I don't understand what's happening there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more than happy to take that back and ask for clarity on that.
Okay.
And so the sick time is different.
Yeah, so for sick time, this is policy is for employee, meaning that individual who is employed by the district or who's paid at an hourly or stipend or salary rate for whom the withholding is required under the ORS. Definitions do not include volunteers or independent contractors.
So what's the difference between those two?
Well, like it just said here, this could be somebody that may be more of an hourly employee. So maybe I'm only working 2 hours a day.
Which wouldn't apply to the personal injury and.
Well, I think that's what I need to go back and ask is if, let's say, for example, that I am a crossing guard and I work 4 hours a day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. Do I get those 10 days that we were questioning in the last policy on top of the sick time, or is it strictly for sick time? The way this reads to me, this is more focused on those folks that aren't full-time employees, like I shared.
Do both of these have to be used for, I would assume that they have to be used for. I mean, it lays it out here, what it's specifically for, but I know that it seemed like in some companies or some government agencies, you could sell back some of that sick leave and stuff. Is that?
There is some of that takes place. So if you're a member of one of our associations, licensed or classified as an example, they have a sick leave bank and they have it established what their processes and procedures are. So if I'm a member of one of the associations and there's somebody who's come up with a long-term sickness and they're out of sick leave, then you can give so many hours or so many
Right.
days. Right.
You can give it, but can you sell it back?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right.
Any other questions about this policy?
I don't think I have anything.
Last policy that I have here, and I brought it to your attention, is that we currently have on file parents' rights. You can see that I gave you an example of our existing policy and then also potentially of a new policy and then also the corresponding AR. And I know that as a board, we've talked about a parent's bill of rights or a draft. So I didn't know if this is something that you wanted, and this didn't come from our attorney. This was just coming out of the conversations that we've had at board meetings. And so I was just bringing this to your attention to see if this is, there's no mandate for a change in reviewing the policy of what we have on file versus the newest version. The biggest difference that I can see in here is that it cites NCLB, which is No Child Left Behind, which came from the Bush administration. And so that language is in there, but legally it doesn't affect us. So the policy is still on solid ground. But again, I didn't know if you wanted to consider taking a look at making a change or not to this. And so that's the only reason why I brought it forward.
Well, it seems like this would be a sensible place in our policies to put the Parents' Bill of Rights, right? Under the KAB kind of section where we have the parents, right?
Right. So if we come up with, say, our own version of a Parents' Bill of Rights, for example, and you were wanting a code, I would reach out to OSBA and then maybe this one reads here KAB, so maybe it'd be KABB.
Yeah, if you could have a code for us to use at the next meeting, if we adopt that, that would be good.
Okay.
I was gonna make a suggestion. Would you guys be open to maybe changing the name of not having it be Parents' Bill of Rights, but something like parents like guidance or I don't know, just a different word that might not be so controversial or not?
Well,
Just throwing that out
parents'
there.
rights, like you could call it something else of parents' rights, but
Yeah.
parents' rights are the fundamental issue at it.
Yeah,
And guidance is very weak.
okay.
Guidance is something you can follow or not,
Mm,
and rights are something that you don't have the right to.
Okay.
Trample on.
And it looks like OSBA already has, I mean, the wording parental rights, so.
Yeah, parental rights were widely understood to be a thing until like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Kind of like the new version better than the old version. And since the old version has, outdated references, and it might be good to just take the facelift here.
Mhm. Okay, I'm not confused on all the different ones we have here. Okay, so one of them.
One's an AR,
Oh,
Yeah, you
say-
the existing one and the recommended.
And two, that's a sample policy versus an existing policy. That's the policy.
Okay,
That's the policy.
okay. And then these are the ARs.
So where it
Okay.
says AR.
Okay,
Yeah, so the ARs again are the superintendents, but I just included it for you to view. Yeah, you're not gonna get any pushback from AI like newest and updated language. So if we can get rid of every Student Success Act of 2015, which I do not believe is in place anymore, or NCLB as an example.
Just to be clear, though, every Student Succeeds Act of 2015, are all the students succeeding now?
Are they what?
Are they all succeeding now after they passed that law?
That act.
Yeah. I mean, it's right in the name, so I don't know how they put it.
I guess it depends on your definition of success.
That's very true. Very true. Yeah, I'm good with the facelift. You guys good with that?
mhm. And on both of them. Updating the AR as well.
Well, again, that's superintendent's call. I just included it for you to take a look at.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. So
so we don't do anything with
no,
that.
you don't have to do anything with the ARs. I just
Oh.
want to see that the AR will correspond with the policy.
Okay,
That's the reason for that.
oh, okay.
So of the policies, I need to go back and get clarification. On personal leave or personal illness and injury leave, which is GCBD. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
They were extremely efficient. with that.
yes, very short and sweet.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned.
Okay.